God has an order for the family, and that includes roles and responsibilities for the husband and the wife. In this episode, we continue to discuss what God expects of a wife in a godly marriage. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome to Living a Godly Marriage. I am Voncille.
And I'm Melvin, and we're glad you're tuning in to watch us tonight.
Tonight, we're going to be focusing on God's roles and responsibilities of the wife in the marriage.
Yes, and that's so important in God's plan. In fact, let's take a look at God's plan for a godly marriage.
So this is God's order for the family. If you see from this graphic, Christ first, and then the husband under Christ, and then under the husband is the wife. And the husband's responsibilities are to protect the family, lead the family, provide for the family. And the wife primary roles are to comfort, teach, nurture. And you may notice that under the wife are the children. And the children's roles are to love their parents and obey their parents. And this is God's order for the family.
Yes, it's so important that
a wife chooses to follow God's order for the family. And as a wife, I want to be a wife of the word, not a wife of the world.
Oh, so a wife makes that decision. They can decide to follow God's plan, or they can follow the world's plan or any other plan that's not God's plan.
And so in the Bible, Paul teaches wives and husbands about marriage in Ephesians 5:22 and through 33. In verse 33, he summarizes by saying, a husband must love his wife as he loves himself. And the wife must respect her husband. And
that's so important for a wife to show respect for her husband. So the question can be asked in regard to that.
Are you disrespecting your husband without realizing it?
Oh, and I think this applies to a lot of wives. So let's see what are evidences of disrespecting.
So do you disrespect your husband by being rude, mean, or insulting, being too critical? Why did you leave all those dirty clothes on the floor? Being critical of him to others, that's really important. Being uncooperative, being unforgiving, or being competitive. Now, that's a big one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're completers, not competitors.
Correct. And also, you can disrespect your husband by being vindictive, getting even. And if I may say, in my first marriage, I was all about getting even. Also, by being demeaning or self-centered, being non-supportive, or being too independent.
What does that mean, is being too independent?
That's a good question.
Like decision making.
Yes. If, for example, if I want to go out and buy a Mercedes and, I do not consult my husband about it, even though I'm working, I have my own bank account and I can afford it, but I go out without even discussing it with my husband. That's disrespectful to him, number one, because we are husband and wife, we are a team. So that has been too independent to spend that amount of money on a Mercedes or anything of great value without discussing it with my spouse.
Right.
And do you disrespect your husband by being unyielding or being resistant to his leadership?
Wow, there's a lot of things there.
To unpack there, yes.
But a lot of times women are not aware that they're showing disrespect to their husband by doing these things.
Right.
And when a man is respected, especially by his wife, it gives him the confidence he needs to conquer the rest of the world. And I would add to that comment from Home Builders Network that when a man is disrespected, he doesn't really have the confidence that he needs to lead his family, let alone conquer the rest of the world.
That's right. So let's talk about what God's responsibilities for the wives are. And so in addition, these are God's responsibilities. This is not something that Mel and I decided that we should do.
And we're reviewing this from the first episode dealing with responsibilities of the wife.
So in addition to telling a wife to respect her husband, God tells a wife to submit to her husband, as seen in Ephesians 5:22-24, and Colossians 3:18, and Titus 2:4-5. And I might say that we recommend that you go read these scriptures for yourself and don't take our word for it, read them. We invite you to do that. So obeying God's order for the family by willingly and respectfully following your husband's lead. That's referenced in Ephesians 5:22. Also, voicing your viewpoints or concerns, especially when safety or health is involved.
Yes, you're not to be quiet. I mean, voice your concerns, safety or health. Right. Both of those are important. For example, one thing men don't like to do is go to the doctor as they should. And so that doesn't mean a wife shouldn't encourage him to do that.
That's a good point. Yes. Also, in humility, supporting your husband once he makes a decision. You can find that reference in Ephesians 5:33. And again, we encourage you to look up these scriptures that we're pointing out here. So, these are not our words, these are God's responsibilities for wives.
And that point, especially, it's like being on the job. You may voice your concern, you may share your point of view with your supervisor, but once the supervisor makes that decision, you are to support the supervisor. And not only that, he's expecting you to support, certainly not undermine it. All right, let's continue.
God created a wife to be her husband's companion, and that's referenced in Genesis 2:18. And if you would read that.
You're a friend, a guide, a companion, a soulmate, and so much more.
God created a wife to be her husband's companion and helper, suitable for him. You can find that referenced in Genesis 2:18.
And as we pointed out the last time, as God was creating the world and creating in Genesis, the first time he said it is not good was when he saw it was not good for man to be alone. And so that's why a companion was created from his side, from his rib, because they had to be side by side, to be a companion for Adam.
And he knew that you would need help.
Yes.
A lot of help.
He knew. Yes, he did know that. Okay, let's continue.
Let's continue on with God's responsibilities for wives. God created a wife to be her husband's companion and helper, suitable for him. And that's referenced in Genesis 2:18.
Then the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him." That's Genesis 2:18 in the New Living Translation.
And again, we recommend that you read these scriptures for yourselves to see that This is not something we're making up. This is what God says.
So what does it mean to be a helper suitable for him?
A caregiver, a supporter, encourager, and a confidant. And last but not least, lover.
All right now. I agree with that. So what we're going to do, and Voncille will be taking the lead on this, we're going to look at each of those roles and show how, as a wife, she is to help her husband, and she can do that by playing those different roles. So let's explore that more closely.
God's responsibilities for wives as a caregiver means when he gets sick, take care of him and nurse him back to health. And
don't tease him if he has a low tolerance of pain.
Are you trying to tell him?
Okay.
Continually pray for God's protection, wisdom for leading the family and his spiritual growth.
That prayers can be really, really important.
And that's one thing I really love about you, that you do pray. And thank you, I appreciate it. Encourage him to get regular checkups with his doctors and dentists and follow their instructions for better health. Encourage him to eat more nutritious meals. Find out his favorite exercise and join him.
Now, those nutritious meals, you might have to say that more than one.
More nutritious meals.
And notice, wives, the word there is encourage him. Don't nag him, but encourage him to eat more nutritious meals. And also, sometimes if you prepare nutritious meals and put it before him,
this is all you're getting tonight. Take it or leave it.
Okay. And that last one, find out his favorite exercise and join him in exercising.
That could be a lot of fun too.
Yes, it can be. Yes, it can be.
Supporter. Learn his love language and love him the way he wants to be loved.
Boy, that's so important, because usually a couple has different love languages. Love language is the way you prefer to be loved. And we're going to do at least a couple of shows on that very popular book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And so it's important to learn his love language, the way he prefers to be loved. And we'll get more into that.
And the way she prefers to be
loved.
And
the way she prefers to be loved, exactly. Also under supporter.
Help him achieve his ambitions and dreams.
Right.
And that's so important as well, because you are partners and they need a lot of help.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you are wives that you don't have ambitions and dreams also. But as a wife, your husband really needs you to support and help him achieve his dreams and ambitions.
Also help him achieve an assignment from God, as Noah's wife did and Abraham's wife did.
And these are great biblical examples. I mean, imagine Noah's wife, Noah's saying, hey, God has told me to build an ark, but she supported him. And so did Abraham's wife, Sarah, because God told him to leave and go to another country. That means Sarah had to leave her family, her friends. And Abraham, well, where are we going, Abe? I don't know, but God says to go. So she supported him with that.
Also help protect him from outside dangers that seek to harm him emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Wow. That's where those prayers come in.
Yes. So pray for your husband.
Right. And also sometimes that may involve reaching out to him or talking with him about family conflict outside the marriage family or the immediate family, but with brothers or sisters, and husbands. I want to encourage you, you need to listen to your wives. All right. She's supporting you, but she's also will be blessed if you listen.
And you will be blessed also if you listen. And it's out of love that she wants to support you in all of these areas that we just talked about. So also help him identify and use his spiritual gifts.
As a Christian, you have a spiritual gift, and if you're not aware of it, your wife can help you. Certainly in your church, talk to your pastor or leaders in your church about your spiritual gifts. We all have one once we are saved.
Okay, continuing on, also be his number one encourager. When the world hurts him, he finds solace, understanding, and comfort in you.
Yes, that's so true.
No matter how tough life is for him, next to Jesus and God, the one positive in his life should be you, his wife.
Right. And I should always can be able to count on her.
So become his cheerleader and biggest fan.
Big cheerleading. It might be the only cheers I get. I may have had a tough day at work, and I need that cheering. I need that encouraging. Notice it's cheerleader and not
cheerleader.
That's right.
Believe in him. If he comes to you with hopes and dreams, for example, if I may use this as an example, this show that we're doing, this is something that my husband wanted to do. It's not something that I would have chosen to do myself, but it's something he wanted to do. And ultimately, I had to come on board with it because I realized how important it is to him. And sometimes we have to move outside our comfort zone to do things to support our spouse.
Yeah, that's so important. And I do appreciate you supporting us and encouraging me as I went through the learning process, how to do this.
Believe in him and help build or restore his confidence by reminding him of past accomplishments or challenges he overcame. And
again, wives, this is so important. Confidence is a major factor. If I lose my confidence, it can impact not just my wife, but the whole family.
Right.
So sometimes as that cheerleader, you need to remind him of accomplishments that he's had in the past. Yeah, you've had this challenge, but you've had worse challenges than this. And I'm sure you'll be able to overcome them.
And husbands, I just want to say, don't be afraid to come to your wife if you're having a challenge on your job, or if there's something going on that's troubling you. She really wants to know what's going on in your lives, and she wants to help you.
Yes, and encourage.
And encourage you in the way that you need to be encouraged.
That's
so
right.
Don't be afraid to talk with your wife about those issues.
So true, so true. Another role is
confidant. This is very important. You should endeavor to become his best friend. Also, he trusts you and feels safe sharing his weaknesses and mistakes he has made. And when your husband shares his weaknesses and mistakes he has made, or some challenges he's having, don't put him down and don't bring it up at some later time.
Right. Don't use it as a weapon.
As a weapon against him.
That's right. Or he'll never open up again, or he'll never share. And what's worse, he might find another confidant. Now, it could be his best friend, could be his best man. I mean, it could be someone else.
You can stop there.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that is true. And so he trusts you and feels safe sharing his fears.
Oh, that's major as well.
Yes.
I can share my fears with you, knowing that you will be understanding and loving, again, as a confidant.
Also, provide honest but loving feedback, even when he makes a mistake or is not successful. And if he does make a mistake, and he will, trust me, don't rub it in too much, because we all make mistakes. And so you don't want him to stop coming to you.
That's right. So that's why it says provide loving feedback.
Right, exactly. So you should be a safe harbor for him. Okay. As a confidant, he allows you to share blind spots he may have and welcomes your suggestions how to improve.
And I love the last part about that, because it's not just being critical, but lovingly approaching him, and also with suggestions how to improve. Honey, I didn't like the way you said that. It would really help me if you said it this way. I mean, give me, help me out, and if we have a confidant type of relationship, that type of communication would really help to foster that.
And if I may, again, I mentioned earlier how Mel and I, when we were dating, my love language is physical touch. So we were in the car, if I may share this story.
Sure.
We were in the car going to a movie or someplace, and I put my hand on his leg, and he took my hand and sort of not really swatted it away, but moved my hand away, which really hurt me. And because I'm physical touch, that's how I communicate.
That's your love language.
That's my love language. And but later, when I shared with him that it hurt my feelings that he moved my hand away. And when he explained to me why he did that,
because it was a distraction, believe me.
Which is not what I was trying to do.
Right, right.
But once I understood why he did that, we were okay. Right?
Yes. All right. And another role.
Oh, this is a big one.
What is
lover?
Yes.
Sometimes you should initiate sex, especially if he's stressed or troubled.
Yes.
And it's okay, ladies, to do that. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, especially he may not be admitting that he's stressed or troubled about something, but I tell you what, he's not going to turn you down. And that's a way of really helping him to overcome that. All right.
So your kisses should excite him. Do my kisses excite you?
Yes, they do.
And your lingerie, perfume, and bedroom should excite him as well.
And I would add to that, your bedroom should not look like an office, okay? But lingerie, perfume, the bedroom itself should excite him.
And one thing we did that I really enjoyed, we actually went shopping together once remember that, for perfume. And
oh yeah. Yeah, I picked out the perfume I liked, and you picked out
the cologne that you like. And so it was great.
Yes.
Something you could do together. It's a lot of fun.
That's right. Certainly is.
So continuing on. So keep intimacy exciting. Explore new ways to please him. And he'll explore new ways to please you as well.
That's right.
I say again, ladies, don't be afraid to tell your husband what pleases you. It's okay. He's your husband, and he wants to know, right?
Yes, that's right.
He wants to know. So why should he get all the pleasure?
That's right. And as been married a few years now, but I just have not improved my mind reading skills. Right. So it's important. It's easy to say what you don't like in intimacy, but you should compliment him when he is pleasing you. Yes, so don't take that for granted.
You do please me. Really great.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, I do want to add to that, however, in Genesis 2:18, when God said it is not good for man to be alone, he didn't give Adam a sex partner, a girlfriend, or a friend with benefits. He gave him a wife. And that's a quote by R.E. Macklin. So let's summarize what we've covered this evening.
God wants a wife to follow his order for the family, with the husband as the head. God says a wife must respect her husband. And you can find that referenced in Ephesians 5:33. And God wants a wife to submit to her husband by yielding and respectfully following his lead. Ephesians 5:32.
And I want to go back to that point about respecting the husband, because a lot of times in the workplace, particularly men of color, don't get the respect that they need. And if a wife can show that respect, willingly, lovingly following the lead of her husband, that can mean so much to him.
And husbands, if I may say, please let your wives know what you need from them.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to share your feelings with your wife. She wants to know.
Mhm.
And so God created a wife to be her husband's companion and best friend.
That's right. That's right.
God created a wife to be a helper, just right for him. You can
Mhm.
find that referenced in Genesis 2:18. And the wife should seek to be her husband's caregiver, supporter, encourager, confidant, and lover,
And all of those are very important.
especially the lover, right?
So as we come down the home stretch here, let me just share a couple other major points.
An excellent wife who can find, you have.
Yes.
She is far more precious than jewels. You can find
Wow.
that referenced in Proverbs 31:10.
An excellent wife.
Mhm.
And he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Hello, good thing. And obtains favor from the Lord. This is in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. So all of these, what we've shared tonight is a challenge for some wives. This is something we encourage you to aspire to do, to be a godly wife.
Mhm.
And you can go on the internet, certainly, and type Voncille Greene and watch this over again, or watch the broadcast over again. And we encourage you to do that, because a lot of times people don't know what God expects a godly wife to do.
Mhm.
And so we've covered these roles and responsibilities, and we trust that you will review and you will endeavor to be a godly wife like my dear wife, my good thing.
And I didn't even pay him to say that. Not tonight.
So in closing, as always, we like to say, living a godly marriage is the best marriage.
Love you.
All right, love you.
Thank you.
So long.